Ladies and gentlemen, you're sitting there right now thinking about your dreams, your aspirations, but there's something holding you back, isn't there? You've got these ideas, these big plans, but something's keeping you from jumping in with both feet. And let me tell you something, that something is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But let me tell you one thing, no risk, no story. If you're not willing to take the leap, to take a risk, then you're not going to have a story to tell. Now, I get it. Risk is a scary thing. We all want to stay in our comfort zones where things feel safe. But the truth is, staying comfortable is the very thing that's holding you back from your greatest potential. You can't get the rewards without risking something. You can't grow unless you push yourself, and pushing yourself often means stepping out into the unknown, into places that make you uncomfortable. And that's where the magic happens. Think about it. Every person who's achieved something great, who's made a real impact, has a story. But here's the kicker: those stories were never about playing it safe. They were about taking chances, about betting on themselves, even when the odds were stacked against them. Every single one of them was willing to risk it all. And that's why they have a story to tell. You think about the people you admire, what's their story? They faced adversity, they took risks, they stumbled, they fell, but they kept getting up. And that's what made their story worth hearing. No risk, no story. If you want a life that's truly worth living, then you need to be willing to take those risks. Yeah, it's scary. It's nerve-wracking. It's easier to stay put and play it safe. But let me tell you something, you're not going to get to where you want to be by playing it safe. You've got to step into the unknown, into the place where failure is a possibility, where things might not go as planned. Because that's where the growth is. You see, failure isn't the end of the road. It's part of the journey. It's a lesson. It's a stepping stone. When you fail, you learn what doesn't work, and you figure out what to do differently. But you'll never know unless you take that first step. You know, comfort is the enemy of progress. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. The moment you stop taking risks, the moment you settle for the status quo, is the moment your growth stops. You can't expect to get the life you want by playing it safe. You've got to take risks. And yeah, it's hard, but that's the price of admission. If you want the rewards, you've got to be willing to pay the price. So let me ask you something. What's your story? What are you waiting for? What's holding you back from taking that first step? If you don't take risks, you'll never know what's out there waiting for you. But if you do take that leap, if you go for it, if you take those risks, then you're going to have a story that's worth telling. You'll have a story of triumph, of lessons learned, of battles fought, and of growth. Because here's the bottom line, you can't sit around waiting for life to hand you opportunities. You've got to go out there and create them for yourself. No risk, no story. You've got to take the leap, and you've got to bet on yourself. And when you do, you'll have a story to tell, one that inspires others, and one that shows you've got what it takes to make your dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Take the risk. Your story is waiting to be written. Risk is essential for growth. You can't get to the next level in your life or career without stepping outside your comfort zone. Comfort is the place where things feel easy, but it's also the place where progress slows down. You can't expect to achieve extraordinary things by doing ordinary things. Think about it, every single success story, every person who has made a real impact has a story rooted in taking risks. They didn't just wake up one day with everything figured out. No, they had to risk something, whether it was their time, money, reputation, or even their peace of mind. Risk is what forces you to stretch, to reach beyond what you think is possible, to uncover potential you didn't even know you had. When you don't take risks, you limit yourself. You play it safe and stay within boundaries that you set for yourself. But those boundaries are the very thing that prevents you from experiencing the full spectrum of life. To truly grow, to expand your capacity, you have to push against those limits. Risks bring the opportunity to discover new strengths, new perspectives, and new possibilities. Without those challenges, without putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, you're just running on autopilot. You're not testing your limits, and you're not discovering what you're truly capable of. Risk also teaches you to be resourceful. When things don't go as planned, when your calculations and strategies don't work out, you learn to pivot, to adapt. You learn how to make decisions under pressure. Those moments of risk become valuable teachers. They force you to think creatively, to solve problems, and to find new ways to get back on track. And even if you fail, the lesson you learned is priceless. Success comes from your ability to rise after falling, to adapt when things don't go your way. Without taking risks, you'll never learn these lessons. You'll stay stagnant, always wondering what might have been. Taking risks doesn't mean you have to be reckless. It's not about making hasty decisions without thinking things through. It's about calculated risks, those where you assess the potential rewards and weigh them against the potential consequences. But if you never take any risks, if you always stay safe, you're just waiting for opportunities to fall into your lap. And that rarely happens. You create opportunities when you take risks, when you dare to act on your ideas, even when you're unsure of the outcome. The reality is, growth and success are messy. They don't come from playing it safe and sticking to what's comfortable. They come from the moments when you step out of the shadows and take chances, when you trust yourself enough to make decisions that scare you a little. You've got to embrace risk if you want to build a life full of stories worth telling. And the more risks you take, the more you'll learn, the more you'll grow, and the more you'll be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. So don't shy away from risk. It's the catalyst for your next level of greatness. The fear of failure often holds us back from taking risks, and it's one of the biggest obstacles to personal growth. We've all been there, right? You've got this big idea or dream, but then the thought hits you, what if I fail? It's so easy to let that fear of failure paralyze us, to convince ourselves that staying where we are is safer than taking the risk of trying something new. But here's the truth: failure is not the enemy. It's the teacher. It's the thing that sharpens you, that pushes you to figure out what works and what doesn't. Without failure, you don't learn, you don't grow, and you don't evolve. We need to change our relationship with failure. Failure is not something to fear. Failure is a step along the journey, a necessary part of the process. If you never fail, you're probably not pushing hard enough. Think about all the successful people you admire. Do you think they made it to where they are without any setbacks? Absolutely not. Every successful person has a trail of failures behind them. It's those failures that give them wisdom, resilience, and the ability to persevere when things get tough. Failure is proof that you're doing something, that you're taking risks. If you let the fear of failure stop you, you'll never know what could have been. The fear of failure is paralyzing because it's rooted in uncertainty. It's that what if that haunts you, the fear of the unknown. We fear that we might lose something: time, money, energy, reputation, if things don't work out. But the real danger is in never trying, in never taking that leap of faith because of what might go wrong. Think about the things you regret in life. I'm willing to bet that most of them are not the things you tried and failed at, but the things you never attempted because you were too afraid to fail. Failure doesn't make you a failure. It's a stepping stone. When you fail, you get information. You learn what works, what doesn't, and how to do things differently. Every failed attempt gives you more data, more insight into what you need to change or improve. It's like a compass guiding you towards success. The more you fail, the closer you get to getting it right. But if you never try, you'll never try. You'll never know what works. So yes, fear of failure is real, and it's something we all face, but we have to push through it. We have to embrace the possibility of failure as part of the journey, not something to be avoided at all costs. The more you take risks and face failure head on, the stronger you become. And with every failure, you'll get better at handling setbacks, adjusting your course, and ultimately achieving your goals. Don't let fear of failure keep you from reaching your potential. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it be the fuel that drives you forward. Failure is not the end, it's just the beginning of your success story. Sometimes we forget that risk isn't just about the big flashy moves in life. It's not always about quitting your job to start your own business or making a major life change. Sometimes the biggest risks are the small, everyday decisions that require courage and conviction. It's the risk of trusting someone with your heart after being hurt before. It's the risk of speaking up when everyone else stays quiet, of voicing your opinion when you know it might not be popular. It's the risk of walking away from a situation, relationship, or environment that you know is no longer serving you. These risks are harder to take because they don't come with a clear reward in sight. They don't have the same kind of instant gratification that comes with bigger moves, but they're just as important, if not more so. These small, everyday risks often go unnoticed by others, but they shape your life more than you might realize. They push you to trust yourself, to set boundaries, to make tough decisions, and to take control of your own narrative. Without these risks, you'd find yourself stuck in patterns, repeating the same behaviors, staying in toxic situations, or holding on to things that weigh you down. Small risks are what help you to evolve into a better version of yourself. They allow you to shed old habits and mindset blocks that have been holding you back. In life, we often wait for the perfect moment to take risks, but that perfect moment rarely comes. If you keep waiting for everything to be in place, to have all the pieces fit, you'll find that time passes by and you're still stuck in the same place. Life doesn't work that way. Growth happens when you make decisions in the face of uncertainty, when you move forward without all the answers. Taking risks in the small moments is what builds the muscle for taking bigger risks later on. For example, imagine you're in a situation where you're unhappy, but you're not sure whether you should speak up or walk away. That's a risk in itself. And what you might not realize is that taking that small risk gives you the courage and confidence to take bigger risks in the future. It teaches you that you have the strength to make difficult choices and that you don't have to wait for life to give you permission to take action. Taking risks also means understanding that not everything is going to go according to plan. You have to be comfortable with discomfort, with the unknown, with the possibility that things might not work out as you expect. But here's the thing, even when things don't work out, you learn something. You learn what to avoid next time. You gain experience and you get closer to where you want to be. You never truly lose when you take risks. You either win or learn. So don't overlook the small risks. They are often the ones that make the biggest difference in your life. They help you build resilience, confidence, and clarity in your journey. They teach you to trust yourself more, to be bolder, and to take charge of your own destiny. The small risks you take today will lead you to the bigger opportunities and greater successes tomorrow. The more you take them, the easier it becomes to step outside your comfort zone and live life to the fullest. When you take a risk, you're not just gambling with your time, money, or energy, you're also risking your reputation with others, and most importantly, with yourself. There's something powerful about having the courage to take a chance on yourself. It's an act of self-belief, of deciding that you are worthy of success, growth, and even failure. It's choosing to bet on your own ability to handle whatever comes your way. But here's the truth, when you fail, or when things don't go the way you expected, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a moment in your journey, a teaching moment that will only add to your value and experience. Every risk, every failure, and every setback is a step toward your growth and a stronger version of yourself. Now, I want you to think about the people you admire most in the world. Do you think they got to where they are by playing it safe? Absolutely not. They've made mistakes. They've stumbled and fallen. They've faced criticism, rejection, and doubt. But one thing they didn't do was quit. They didn't let one failure, one setback, or one tough moment define them. They made the decision to keep going. And that's the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about how you respond when it comes. The reason you can't be afraid to risk failure is because of what it brings. Failure brings growth, it brings lessons, and it shows you where you need to adjust. When you face failure head on, it forces you to reassess your approach and refine your methods. It opens your eyes to new possibilities and teaches you to think outside the box. If you never risk failure, you never experience the full potential of what you could achieve. You never know what's on the other side of that fear, that discomfort, or that uncertainty. And let's not forget about the people who never took a risk. They're stuck. They're sitting in the safety of their comfort zone, watching others take chances and live their lives fully. They're too afraid to step out and try something new because they're too worried about what might happen if it goes wrong. The sad truth is that these people will never know what they're capable of. They'll never realize their true potential because they've never dared to take a risk. Don't let that be you. Taking risks also teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to bounce back when things don't go as planned. It builds the muscle you need to keep pushing forward, even when life gets tough. Resilience doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from pushing yourself beyond what you thought you could do, from facing failure and continuing anyway. When you're willing to risk, you're showing the world and yourself that you are strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. That's the kind of person who will eventually succeed, not because they never failed, but because they kept going. So take the risk. Don't be afraid to fail. Know that with each risk, you're adding value to yourself. With each leap you take, you're showing the world that you believe in your ability to grow, to learn, and to succeed. The journey won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. The risks you take today will build the foundation for the incredible things you'll achieve tomorrow. You just have to trust the process and know that failure is never the end. It's just the beginning of your story. Risk is often seen as something to avoid, something that threatens the comfort of the status quo. But in truth, risk is the doorway to all the possibilities in your life. It's not about taking reckless chances, but about stepping into the unknown with confidence, with faith, and with the understanding that without risk, you'll never know what you're capable of. If you never take that leap, you'll remain forever stuck in a cycle of what ifs. You'll live your life wondering what might have been. And that's the worst kind of regret, a regret born out of never even trying. Risk pushes you to grow beyond what you thought were your limits. And when you stop taking risks, you stop growing. Let me ask you, how many of us hold ourselves back because we're afraid of the unknown? We're so used to our comfort zone that the thought of stepping outside, it makes us freeze. We let the fear of failure dictate our actions, and as a result, we limit ourselves. But when you allow that fear to control your life, you're doing yourself a disservice, because behind that fear lies the person you're truly meant to become. Behind that fear lies everything you've been waiting for: success, opportunity, fulfillment, and self-discovery. The person you want to be, the life you want to live, is waiting for you on the other side of risk. But you have to make the choice to step out into the unknown. Let's not sugarcoat it when you take a risk. There's no guarantee that everything will go according to plan. There are no guarantees in life. But what you do have is the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to expand your horizon. There's a powerful freedom in realizing that success and failure are both part of the same journey. They are two sides of the same coin, and neither one is permanent. Failure doesn't define you, and neither does success. What matters is how you respond to both. You have to be willing to take the chance, to push forward, even when things aren't guaranteed. When you can do that, you open up the doors to your fullest potential. You can spend your entire life waiting for the perfect time, but the truth is that time never comes. The perfect conditions never line up the way you want them to. If you wait for everything to be ideal, you might be waiting forever. Success happens when you take action, when you create the perfect moment by moving in the direction of your dreams. Taking risks forces you to move beyond your doubts, your fears, and your excuses. It's a reminder that nothing worth having comes easy, and that you're capable of more than you realize. The beauty of risk is that it forces you to evolve. It forces you to ask yourself hard questions, to think outside the box, and to take responsibility for your own future. When you risk something, you are making a decision to take control of your life. You're saying, I believe in myself and I believe in my ability to figure things out. There's power in that declaration. Risk teaches you that you can't rely on anyone else to make things happen for you. You have to be the one to take that first step, to make that leap, and to trust that the universe will meet you halfway. So don't be afraid of risk. Embrace it. Understand that with every risk you take, you're learning something new about yourself. You're stepping closer to the person you're meant to become. The rewards of taking risks are far greater than the safety of staying stagnant. It's time to stop waiting, stop hesitating, and start living the life you've always dreamed of. Because without risk, there is no growth, and without growth, there is no real success. The path to everything you want is through risk. Take it. When you're faced with the opportunity to take a risk, you often find yourself standing at a crossroads. One path leads to comfort, the known, the easy. The other path leads into the unknown, filled with challenges, uncertainty, and potential for failure. And for many people, that uncertainty is enough to keep them rooted in place. They choose to stay safe because the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown feels so much stronger than the desire to take a leap. But let me tell you something, the safe path isn't always the right one. The truth is, staying comfortable can be the biggest risk of all. It's in comfort that we stagnate. It's in comfort that we stop growing, stop evolving, and stop challenging ourselves. What most people don't realize is that there is no true growth without discomfort. Success doesn't come from simply staying in the same place where you feel secure. You have to be willing to step into the unknown, to challenge yourself, and to confront that fear head on. It's the risk that allows you to unlock your potential, to see what you're truly capable of. If you never take the risk, you'll never know what you could have achieved, and that's a painful thought to live with. Let me tell you, no one who has ever achieved greatness did it by playing it safe. Whether it's starting a business, pursuing a new career, or building meaningful relationships, every great success is built on the foundation of taking risks. It's the people who dared to step out of their comfort zones, who built empires, created lasting legacies, and achieved things that seemed impossible. But here's the key: the risk itself is not the end goal. The risk is simply the first step in the journey. It's the courage to take that first step that separates the dreamers from the doers. It's the willingness to fail, learn, and keep going that sets you up for long-term success. You have to trust yourself enough to know that even if things don't go as planned, you'll figure it out. You'll learn from your mistakes and you'll grow from them. There's a certain strength and vulnerability in saying, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to find them. It's this mindset that allows you to turn risks into opportunities, to turn failures into lessons, and to build a life that is rich with experience and success. The truth is, the real failure comes not from taking risks and stumbling, but from avoiding them altogether. When you play it safe your whole life, you look back and wonder, what if I had started that business? What if I had gone after that dream? What if I had taken that leap? Regret is a heavy burden to carry. And it comes from not having the courage to take risks. So let go of the fear. Stop letting the unknown hold you back. The risk is not just a challenge, it's an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to transform your life. You can't afford to wait for the perfect moment, because that moment may never come. You have to create it by taking action, by stepping out, and by embracing the uncertainty. The road may not always be smooth, but it will always lead you to new horizons, new experiences, and ultimately to the success you've always wanted. Take the risk and trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way.